The friendship between India and Japan has a long history, rooted in spiritual affinity and strong cultural and civilization ties, but it seems that even in these modern times, it is difficult for Japan to find a partner as reliable or beneficial as India. Many in China consider Japan to be their enemy, and unfortunately, frustration, desperation, disappointment, animosity, or even jealousy are lots of extreme emotions that many Chinese seem to be dealing with.
During this new and constantly evolving geopolitical equation that is emerging during the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, Japan's intention to realize 5 trillion Japanese yen of public and private investment and financing from Japan to India in the next 5 years seems to have caused jealousy or discomfort among some Chinese. But before focusing on the attitude of Chinese media, let's explore some reasons why Japan is counting on India and what makes India an economic powerhouse. According to this January 2022 report of the London-based IHS Markit, India's nominal GDP measured in US dollar terms is forecast to rise from $2.7 trillion in 2021 to $8.4 trillion by 2030. This rapid economic expansion would result in the size of the Indian GDP exceeding Japanese GDP by 2030, making India the second largest economy in the Asia-Pacific region. By 2030, the Indian economy would also be larger than the largest Western European economies, notably Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Not only that, IHS Markit forecasts that India's consumption expenditure will double from $1.5 trillion in 2020 to $3 trillion by 2030, and by 2030, 1.1 billion Indians will have internet access, more than doubling from the estimated 500 million internet users in 2020. Yes, it clearly seems that it will be India's decade. Mind you, we are talking about a massive $8 trillion economy in just 8 years or so. And seriously, who would want to miss that bus? For sure, Japan doesn't want to. According to Shigehiro Tanaka, who has served as Vice Minister for International Affairs, India has strength in software and Japan has strength in hardware. Even a former colonial power like Great Britain understands India's economic significance. The UK government department has noted India's position as a major global power, and it has also acknowledged that India is projected to become the world's third largest economy by 2030. And yes, China itself wants to benefit as much as it can from India's economic emergence. A recent article on Global Times highlights the trade opportunities between India and China and mentions China's strength in the manufacturing and infrastructure and India's advantages in the pharmaceutical and information technology sectors. It also mentions that India is now considering easing curbs on Chinese investments, which, if proved to be true, will be a very positive development poised to improve the bilateral relation. But even if China regrets or apologizes, India won't easily forget what China did in Ladakh and Doklam. But China seems to be sensing the current geopolitical climate. Due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and due to the West's uneasy ties with China, India can attract even more FDI and at some stage may become a more reliable global alternative to China. Yes, India as an alternative to China. This is where China seems to feel very insecure. In other words, this can easily be China's worst nightmare. That is why its publications run massive campaigns to destroy India's image. Check this out. Multiple attempts or campaigns to hurt or malign India's investor-friendly image through its state-affiliated publication. Yes, it seems that China leaves no opportunity to shame or belittle India. Its state-affiliated publication has frequently presented India as an unsafe and unstable nation for investment. Go through these articles. Not only that, but China also seems to understand that due to tensions that remain in India-China ties, there is a risk that China may lose the opportunity to completely benefit from India's rise, something that is bad for China's financial or greed-driven goals. Perhaps that is why China shows so much frustration and desperation when India decides to curb or block Chinese investments. See what the Global Times published in January 2022. From the perspective of geoeconomics, it's utterly silly for New Delhi not to nurture a good relationship with China, whose economy is nearly 6 times that of India and is widely recognized as the single and most powerful engine of the world's economic growth. A souring relationship with China will prove to be the most distressful thing for India in the coming months. By restricting Chinese investment, Chinese apps, and Chinese technology, New Delhi is turning its back to a difficult-to-find opportunity to change its fortune. And yes, these articles can't be taken lightly, at least in a country like China. Yes, in a country where strong censorship is a norm, what a state-affiliated publication writes strongly impacts how the average Chinese thinks or perceives the world. Perhaps a very recent example of this was on display when a Chinese blogger was labeled a national traitor as his videos on the Russia-Ukraine conflict didn't quite match the narrative that the Chinese state media has presented. Yes, India-China trade may have crossed the 100 billion mark, but this should still be seen as an opportunity lost for China, as this figure could have been higher and possibly more in China's favor if China had never backstabbed India. Yes, things would have been a lot different if China knew how to respect and honor its spiritual guru, India. But India's economic rise and its journey to prosperity should continue with or without China. And India shouldn't care if China regrets that it isn't able to benefit as much as it wants to from India's rise. Yes, our Japanese friends are welcome in India. See you again.